Hello friends, welcome back to KNS Biochemistry. So in this video session, we are going to see about one of the area of proteomics, a very important and essential area, that is protein domains. So the structure of the domain, the functions of the domain, all are highly essential in proteomics. Let us start the session now. So protein domains are very important for the various aspects of the cellular activity, and we can see it now. So the protein domains are actually formed in the protein, especially when the protein gets this tertiary structure. That is, we all know that proteins are having primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure. Primary structure of the protein is very simplest one. It's a linear structure having only amino acid residues. Secondary structure is formed from primary structure, where you see that further folding will be there, and at that time they will form helixes, beta pleated sheets like that. If we have further folding, complex folding and three-dimensional formation of the protein residues takes place, that is called tertiary structure. So that tertiary structure of the protein is very important for forming the functional domains in proteins. So several motifs, see that motif is the tertiary structure of the protein. They pack together to form very compact, local, semi-independent units. They are all independent units, very compact units. They are called domains. They are formed at the time of this formation of tertiary structure. So the overall 3D structure, the three-dimensional structure of the polypeptide chain, is referred to as the protein's tertiary structure. So this tertiary structure is very important for getting the domains of the protein. So domains are the fundamental units of tertiary structure. Each domain containing an individual hydrophobic core that is at the center, built from secondary structural units connected by some loop regions. The packing of the polypeptide, that is the tertiary structure of the protein, is usually much tighter in the interior of the protein than the exterior of the protein. That is, the interior of the domain is very tight when compared with the exterior of the domain. So the interior is very tight than the exterior of the domain, producing a solid like core at the center and a fluid like surface on the outer side. So these core residues are often conserved in a protein family, whereas the residues in loops, the loops are going to form complex tertiary structure. So these residues present in the loops are less conserved unless they are involved in the protein's function. So the protein tertiary structure can be divided into four main classes based on the secondary structural content of the domain that already we have seen. The four domains, that is all alpha domains, they have a domain core built exclusively from alpha helices. This is dominated by very small folds, many of which form a simple bundle with helices running up and down. Then another one is second type is all beta domains. They have core composed of anti-parallel beta sheets, two sheets packed against each other anti-parallelly. So various patterns can be identified in the arrangement of the strands, often giving rise to the identification of recurring motifs. Then the third type is alpha combined with beta, alpha plus beta domains. They are mixture of all alpha and all beta motifs. The classification of these proteins into This class, the third class, is difficult because of overlaps to the other three classes. Therefore, it is not used in the usual protein domain database, which is available online. That is called a CATH. CATH. It is a protein domain database available online. Then alpha/beta, alpha or beta domains. They are made from a combination of beta at the center alpha, again beta motifs, that predominantly form a parallel beta sheet surrounded by amphipathic alpha helices. The secondary structures are arranged in layers or barrels. So all four classes are possible in tertiary structure of the protein. When you talk about all four different types of domains arranged in the polypeptide. Then the next structure that is also playing a very important role in the domain formation is quaternary structure. So from the primary structure of the protein, secondary structure will be formed. Then after that, when further folding is there, you will get polypeptide, that is tertiary structure. But quaternary structure is not like that. It is the combination of, you see, that subunits. So that is called quaternary structure. So the combination of subunits also responsible for forming some domains in proteins. So many proteins have a quaternary structure. For example, some enzymes, lactate dehydrogenase, for example. So these proteins have a quaternary structure which consists of several polypeptide chains. That is more than one polypeptide chain. They act as subunits that associate into an oligomeric molecule. That is combination of these subunits forms oligomeric form molecule. Each polypeptide chain in such a protein is called a subunit. It's a subunit protein. Say for example, lactate dehydrogenase, hemoglobin. In hemoglobin, hemoglobin is having 2 alpha and 2 beta subunits. Totally 4 subunits are there in hemoglobin. 2 of them are alpha subunits and another 2 of them are beta subunits. So each of these 4 chains, that is 4 subunits, has an all alpha globin fold with a heme packet at the center. So the domain swapping is a mechanism for forming oligomeric assemblies. So in domain swapping, a secondary or tertiary element of monomeric protein is replaced by the same element of another protein. So domain swapping can range from secondary structure elements to whole structural domains. It also represents a model of evolution for functional adaptation by oligomerization. So for example, oligomeric enzymes that have their active site at subunit interfaces. So that is some of the oligomeric enzymes like lactate dehydrogenase. They are having 4 subunits, but the active site of that subunits are there at the center interfaces of the enzyme. That is called oligomeric arrangement. Then multi-domain proteins. That is in quaternary structure we have seen domain formation. Here there are some proteins, they have more than 2 domains, and these proteins are known as multi-domain proteins. Majority of proteins, that is 2/3 in unicellular organisms and more than 80% in metazoa, are multi-domain proteins. Other studies concluded that 40% of prokaryotic proteins, that is proteins present in prokaryotes, consist of multiple domains, that is multi-domains, while eukaryotes have approximately 65% multi-domain proteins. So in prokaryotes 40%, in eukaryote it is 65%. It is 25% higher than prokaryotes. So many domains in eukaryotic multi-domain proteins can be found as independent proteins in prokaryotes, suggesting that domains in multi-domain proteins have once existed as independent proteins, which is that they will function independently. For example, in vertebrates, vertebrates, they have a multi-enzyme polypeptide containing the GAR synthetase, AIR air synthetase, and GAR transformidase domains. So these are all multi-enzyme complexes. They have subunits and they have got multi domains also. So these multi-domain proteins are likely to have emerged from selective pressure during evolution. So during evolution, if any pressure happens during selection of these species, then multi-domain proteins are likely to be formed. So from selective pressure during evolution to create new functions. So various proteins have diverged from common ancestors by different combinations and associations of domains. So modular units frequently move about within and between biological systems through mechanisms of genetic shuffling. It is genetic shuffling happens during evolution. So at that time, multi-domain complex is formed. Here you can say genetic shuffling is taking place by following way: transposition of mobile elements, including horizontal transfers, that is horizontal transfer between species, gross rearrangements such as inversions, translocations, deletions, and duplications in gene. Then third type is homologous recombination. Then fourth one, slippage of DNA polymerase during replication. Some error happens in DNA polymerase during replication process. So the simplest multi-domain organization seen in proteins, that is some proteins are having multi-domain organization. Okay, so they are seen in some proteins. It is very easy that a single domain repeated in tandem, that is a single domain sometimes repeated several times. It's called a tandem repeats in genes. Here it is domain repeats. So the domains may interact with each other. That is repeating domains, tandem repeats. So where you can get domain interaction, or they remain isolated like beads on string. They are placed apart each other. They are not interacting. So the giant 30,000 residues muscle protein titin comprises about 120 fibronectin 3 type and immunoglobulin type domains. In the serine proteases, a gene duplication event has led to the formation of a 2 beta barrel domain enzyme. So the repeats have diverged so widely that there is no obvious sequence similarity between them. So the active site of this enzyme is located at a cleft between the 2 beta barrel domains. In between the 2 beta barrel, you have the active site of the enzyme. So in which functionally important residues are contributed from each domain. So genetically engineered mutants of the chymotrypsin serine protease were shown to have some proteinase activity, even though their active site residues were abolished, and it has therefore been postulated that the duplication event enhanced the enzyme's activity. The duplication of the domains has enhanced the activity of the enzyme because these domains are located in between that is on the both the side of the active site. Active site is there in between the domains. Here you can see that structure of a protein domain. So this is a protein domain structure. See that secondary structure is there, beta sheet is there, tertiary structure is also there. So all are see that they are acting as some specific structures. They are acting as functional domains, structural domains. So any form of domains, See that this is the protein domain structure. Then in protein domains we have seen domain classes. Then we have seen multi-domain proteins, and we have one more category of domain structure seen in some proteins, that is a super domain. What is this super domain? A super domain consists of two or more conserved domains. That is two or more than two conserved domains of nominally independent origin. They are independent in origin, but subsequently inherited as a single structural or functional unit. They are independent, but when it is inherited from one generation to another generation, they goes as a unit. So this combined super domain can occur in diverse proteins that are not related by gene duplication alone. One example for a super domain is the protein tyrosine phosphatase. Protein tyrosine phosphatase, an enzyme that is combined with C2 domain, another domain. So this is a protein tyrosine phosphatase C2 domain pair. This is present in PTEN, tensin, axelin, and the membrane protein TPTE2. So this super domain is found in proteins in animals, plants, and fungi. A key feature of the PTPC2, that is a protein tyrosine phosphatase C2 domain super domain, is amino acid residue conservation in the domain interface. So this protein tyrosine phosphatase C2 domain pair is an example for this super domain structure, which is shown here. Okay, super domain. An appropriate example for any protein which is having protein domains is pyruvate kinase. So this is an enzyme, pyruvate kinase. So this enzyme is that is an appropriate example for presence of protein domains. So this enzyme pyruvate kinase, it is a glycolytic enzyme that plays an important role in regulating the flux from fructose 1,6-bisphosphate to pyruvate. So that is the biochemical step where this pyruvate kinase is catalyzing the activity. So it contains, this particular enzyme contains an all beta nucleotide binding domain, an all beta nucleotide binding domain, and an alpha or beta substrate binding domain, and an alpha or beta regulatory domain. So these are all connected by several polypeptide linkers. So each domain in this protein occurs in diverse sets of protein families. So the central alpha beta barrel substrate binding domain is one of the most common enzyme folds. So it is seen in many different enzyme families catalyzing completely unrelated reactions. So the alpha or beta barrel is commonly called the TIM barrel, TIM, TIM. TIM barrel, named after triose phosphate isomerase. Triose phosphate isomerase, that is TIM barrel, which was the first such structure to be solved. So it is currently classified into 26 homologous families in the Cath domain database. So this particular TIM barrel, it is formed from a sequence of beta alpha beta motifs closed by the first and last strand hydrogen bonding together, forming an 8-stranded barrel. So there is a debate about the evolutionary origin of this domain. So one study has already suggested that a single ancestral enzyme could have diverged into several families. So while another suggests that a stable TIM barrel structure, it has evolved through convergent evolution. So this TIM barrel, which is present in pyruvate kinase enzyme, is discontinuous. That the meaning is that more than one segment of the polypeptide which is present in that pyruvate kinase is required to form the domain. This is the TIM barrel domain. So this is likely to be the result of the insertion of one domain into another domain during the protein's evolution. So it has been shown from known structures that about a quarter of structural domains are discontinuous. So the inserted beta barrel regulatory domain is continuous, made up of a single stretch of polypeptide. So this is the structure of this enzyme pyruvate kinase, which is having 3 domains. Structure taken from PDB, protein data base of that is a protein data bank of Japan. So 1 PKN, that is the name for this protein domain, the protein that is pyruvate kinase. Here you see that it is having 3 domains. See that blue color is one domain, white is another domain, green color is one more domain. So here you see that binding of the substrate takes place. Substrate binds here. So 3 domains are there: blue color, white and green. All the 3 domains are very essential for the activity of this enzyme pyruvate kinase. This pyruvate kinase is a very important enzyme in glycolytic pathway. Friends, we have seen about protein domain, the structure of the protein domain, then the importance of the domains of the protein, and you see that this area of proteomics is highly significant one. Hope you have understood it well. So with this, I'm going to stop this session. I'll be coming back with you with another session. Until then, it's bye from KNS Biochemistry. Thank you very much. Namaskar.